when it comes to our customers, and not just using our systems, which we want them all to do, but in using other suppliers and things like that, you have to kind of ask about what are those benefits. If there's cost savings here, by switching to a biodegradable product for cutlery, right? If there's that there, sometimes there's different kinds of savings sharings or other avenues for them to explore with their suppliers. It's not necessarily the step of taking and making the switch, but it's just asking the question. And that doesn't require a ton of effort, and it's not nearly as scary.
Welcome back to Winning at Work. It's season 3, the podcast for the food and beverage and CPG world. I'm Jennifer Lee, Tony's new marketing sidekick and creative guru. I'll attempt to keep him on track as we discover the ideas and strategies behind all these different, better, and special brands.
Oh, good luck keeping me on track, but I am really stoked to have you on the team, Jennifer. Your background in marketing and SEO and socials. We are going to have so much fun this year. We're going to be discovering the new brands here in 2023. It's all about functional, good for you, lifestyle brands. Those are trending. Those are the products that are gaining market share and really pulling away from those old legacy brands. We're going to have each and every one of those brands down on the podcast to talk to us, to share their ideas, their inspiration, so you, the entrepreneur, so you, the food and beverage and CPG professional, can take these new ideas in and incorporate them into your business and into your life.
Oh my gosh, Tony, I'm seriously so excited. I feel like I learn so much just from listening to older episodes.
Well, that's why we're here. And if this is your first time here, I would recommend, go back, take the 5-episode challenge. Pick a brand, pick a CEO, an entrepreneur, dive in, listen to what it is that they're teaching us. If you love the content, subscribe. We hope you're along with us for the journey each and every week.
Hey, it's Jennifer. We get it. Everyone hates hiring. Inspired by his guest, Tony created a novel talent acquisition program that attracts the hidden candidate market, the 70% of people that are not actively applying to jobs. Click on the Attract link in the show notes to watch a demo.
Welcome, everybody, to Winning at Work. It is Tony, and you all know I live up in a food desert right now up in North Carolina. There are very, very few restaurants that we have to choose from. I think I've got forgive me, it's not even a restaurant. This is it's a gas station, Subway, McDonald's. My guest is probably horror hearing my food options that I have in Western North Carolina. But I did get the chance to head down to Atlanta this weekend, so I did get to enjoy life back in restaurants. And as I was looking around the restaurant, I could tell some of these restaurant spaces, they really have not gone through their next phase of innovation, right? Sustainability is definitely coming. I just got a package in the mail from UPS, from one of the new brands that I had just interviewed, or I will be interviewing. And everything about the product is sustainable and recyclable. And this leads me to our subject today, and that is really, what can restaurants do to be more sustainable? And are there companies out there that are helping and kind of providing a little bit of that infrastructure support that would allow for a restaurant to start making their first moves into sustainability? And you might remember last year I had on Jeff Kiesel. He's the CEO for Restaurant Technologies, and they've been doing so much within the circular economy that they wanted to come back. They wanted to share a little more information with us today. And I have Diana Geseking. She's the Vice President, Corporate Counsel. She also heads up the initiatives for ESG, and among with probably everything else that they decide they want to throw at you, Diana. Thank you so much for being the guinea pig. They said, go talk to Tony. And you said, why not?
Sure. Why not? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. you get that a lot as a lawyer, as people will come to you with kind of the odd things. Hey, this doesn't seem to smell right. Could you just look at this? And that's what we do. General counsel, you just figure it out. And so
you go with the flow. So you obviously must have a very adaptable kind of personality, because that is not the normal thing that you would ask your VP general counsel to do, is to go on a podcast. But you brave soul, you have done it.
I have done it. I have been filmed and done some speaking engagements. So I like to think of myself as the atypical lawyer, the one that has a little bit of a personality, can be fun in given situations, but then also can, help keep a company safe and out of trouble. And then in this case, of course, promote all of our great, awesome ESG efforts.
Every time I've ever gone to a lawyer and asked a question, literally, if I could play bingo with this, I would win. It's always, it depends.
Always that catchphrase. You need to have a shirt.
I promise you, I did not even prepare that remark. It is a fact. It just
no,
depends.
that you took the words out of my mouth, because that's what I was going to tell you. Well, it depends. Exactly.
Well, so for those who may not be fully aware of restaurant technologies, just explain the place in the circular economy or in the restaurant infrastructure that RT plays.
Well, so we've been around for over 2 decades, and for a very long time, we have been eliminating those really risky jobs in the back house of commercial kitchens, right? So, I'm going to get to the circular economy, I promise. But one of the things when you think about, okay, when you're cooking and you're frying and you are having your employees handle all of that hot oil, right? Because something has to happen to it at the end of the day when you got to change it out. You got to haul it out. You have to carry it and throw it out back and put it somewhere. And so we got rid of that. We automate it. We make it easier and safer for people to do their jobs. So no longer are they handling that hot oil. No longer are they using single-use plastic jibs that just get thrown away and end up in landfills, or the cardboard that is associated with that, as much as it is recyclable. And then also, of course, our hood and flue system, getting up there and making sure that it is automated and it's always clean, instead of having to have people come in and scrape that grease out, reduces the risk of fires, all that good stuff. And we've been doing this for so long. And we, over the past few years, we realized, hey, we have a really great sustainability story, and we're not telling it enough. And we're not telling it, loud enough to the right people. It's why, I want them here. I want to talk about it today, because we've been doing it for a while without realizing the great benefits, not only to our customers, but to the environment as a whole. And that gets into the circular economy.
Yeah. So I think people have a concept. They have an idea of circular economy, but you guys do something pretty cool with the oil.
Yes. So the oil that is cooking the French fries, right? And the chicken nuggets and all that delicious, delicious food. We supply that fresh oil, and we then also, it has to go somewhere, right? Once it's used, it becomes, UCO. We call it used cooking oil. And we take and collect that used cooking oil from all of the restaurants, all the kitchens, and it then gets converted into biodiesel and renewable diesel. So we don't do the conversion, but we collect it all, and then we get it over to third parties, and they will then convert it into biodiesel and renewable diesel. And then what we've started doing is using that in our own trucks. And so then the UCO that we collect is back into our trucks as biodiesel, renewable diesel, and then we're delivering that fresh oil again, and collecting the used cooking oil using the biodiesel that it's created from. So that is where that circular economy comes from. You're taking something that is otherwise just waste and being something that's thrown away, and then utilizing it in another way.
Yeah. And it's one of those kind of no-brainers that you kind of wish that this idea, this technology, the solution had been given sooner, but at least now it does. And I don't know anyone else doing this. Now, there may be others, but you guys definitely exposed me to it at first. So that was kind of my first exposure. And I think you do have a pretty good partnership with that third party refiner, or who it's
Chevron Renewable Energy Group. Yep. Chevron Renewable Energy Group is a big partner of ours. And it's been really fun to explore because some of our biggest customers and a lot of our customers, like especially a college campus, they will also use the biodiesel, renewable diesel for the vehicles on their campuses. And so again, you have this whole system where they're a customer of ours, we're collecting their used cooking oil, we're delivering their fresh oil. Our trucks are using the biodiesel, and then their vehicles on their campuses are using the biodiesel as well. So again, it's that use of that waste that would otherwise be just, in the landfills and seeping into water systems and things like that. Yes.
It's gross to think about it. I mean, I think about all the stuff that I get from my own kitchen from cooking. Imagine doing it, not 24/7, but however long the QSR is open, day over day over day. It's definitely a huge help. And obviously, as you have now kind of proven this model out, I would imagine that that's a pretty good kind of sales and marketing, approach too, back into the food service industry. Like, this is a great way for them to kind of get on board.
Right. And what's awesome is because we track it, and because we understand and we've done our diligence and our homework on the data, so we can actually go and give our customers the data for their carbon emission savings. So we can say down to store level, you put our system in, here's based on the amount of oil that you are expected to use for the year that you did use, and here are the emissions that you saved. So it's helping them with their own sustainability efforts as well.
Right. And then it's not just some fluffy number out there. You can actually give them. And I think you guys did publish some numbers, or some numbers are coming out very, very soon. It's pretty shocking, the volume and what's been kind of converted. And I think I was reading one of the stats where it was like the amount of oil would fill up a certain amount of like a Olympic sized swimming pool. I was like, those are pretty big pools.
You can get some fun data. Yeah, no, we realize we've been doing all of our calculations for 2022, and it was especially we recycled over about 290 million pounds of waste oil, which is crazy. And I know it gets up to about 100,000 passenger vehicles, right? The equivalent of avoiding 100,000 passenger vehicles in those emissions. I think it's something like, I think in the hundreds of millions or billions of smartphones charged, right, and avoiding that kinds of emission and stuff like that. So it's really fun to see the actual data and what it translates into.
I think it's the pool that stuck with me, though. Just imagining. So anyway, this is an audio, but you can still get you get the vibe, on that. It's a very again, to me, it's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So
tell that to all of our customers. And customers that we don't have perspectives.
David in PR is going to be very, very happy that he's hearing this. But do tell us more. I do want to learn a little bit more about just some of the general trends, though, that are happening. I know you guys are kind of tracking, kind of seeing what's happening on nationally. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So a lot of what we're seeing, obviously, we partner with a ton of restaurants, commercial kitchens, universities, hospitals, also QSR, quick service restaurants. Not everybody knows what that stands for, but the big five, McDonald's, Burger King, we're seeing a lot of trends with them as well, that they're taking sustainability very seriously. A lot of people have sustainability officers at their companies. You could walk into a number of locations of restaurants and they no longer have straws. Or they have straws that are sustainable straws, or they're promoting the fact that their cups are also made from, used cooking oil and biodiesel and different refineries. So you're seeing this focus a lot more across the nation in the restaurant industry.
We all know plastic is bad. It's awful. And so that's kind of what gets the consumer's attention. But then when you get a little deeper into the operation, you find there's lots of other areas where savings and sustainability initiatives can take hold.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we're back of the house, right? We're not in the front. People don't see that the fries that they got and the oil that goes into it, right? They don't know about it and they don't need to know about it. But what's awesome is that we are taking part in that sustainability journey with our customers. And by eliminating those single-use plastic jibs, or, it's jug in a box is what that stands for. That's taking that out of the landfills. That's taking that out of the waste, and again, replacing it with something that is way more sustainable.
So let's move into some of our discussion points today about really what can restaurants do to start to become more sustainable. I know you've got a couple ideas. You've been kind of working in this space now for some time. So if you're a restaurateur and you're really wanting to do more, what advice would you give?
So one of the things, and this takes a bit of work to do, but it's looking at everything through a lens of sustainability. And I say, for example, what we do in-house, when we're looking at our product innovations, we're looking at, again, with that lens of sustainability. How should we be using a certain kind of metal? If it's sourced properly, is this better for the environment? And that's what kind of restaurants can be doing as well. You talk about the circular economy. What do they have that's waste that perhaps could be recycled or reused? What are they doing in terms of, and it's not just sustainability always, right? But because ESG is bigger than that. ESG is about worker safety. ESG is about DE&I and diversity and everything like that too. So from a sustainability perspective, I think a lot of the focus is on how can we recycle better? How can we reuse, reduce, things like that? On a bigger scale, are our buildings LEED certified, right? LEED certified. On a smaller scale, what's happening with the napkins that we use? Where do we source that from? Are they reusable, recyclable? And then, of course, we are big into safety. It's a huge piece of the broader ESG story, and ensuring that our customers' workers are safer by putting in our systems and eliminating that risk as well.
Yeah, I do think it is challenging for a restaurateur or restaurant owner to even know, where do I start? But I think you've got to start with your distributor, because your distributor is showing up every other week, or not every other week. Good Lord, they're not in business. Every couple of days, right? With the new, fresh supply from the supply chain. I think that's how I would do it. I would start with my distributor and say, let's kind of go through, our product offering that we currently have. And do we have some other substitutes that are in there, and start doing some cost benefit analysis?
Oh, totally. No, I mean, when it comes down to, should you be using plastic bags as part of your takeout, right? Where do you get your spoons and forks and other things? I said napkins, right? But it goes into your food products. You talk about, our business, right? Supplying fresh cooking oil. And we work with our partners and our suppliers who are, the biggest in the world. What happens to that bean? What happens to that soybean? And what was the harvesting practices that happened with that? Are they doing, deforestation? Is it regenerative and low impact harvesting of crops, right? You could go all the way down that chain, but it's what your suppliers should also know and be willing to share with you. There are different options. There's a lot of things to choose from out there. And that's something that we also take into account when we look at, who we partner with and who we get our oil from.
Right. And I think the easy response for a restaurant owner could be, well, I don't want to invest in it, because of the cost. So, and they might think, well, maybe my customers don't care about it. So how do you help them kind of over that hurdle? It depends. No,
I know. I was just going to say it depends because it does, right? It depends on the type of customer. You have a mom and pop shop, right? They own one restaurant, and maybe sustainability isn't at the top of their list. But when you start talking about other things such as safety, such as freeing up your workers to do other jobs that actually increase profits instead of having to haul the hot oil out into
Correct.
the back. When you talk to them about just, yes, it's maybe not sustainable, but if you think about not having to open up all of those cardboard boxes, take out all those jibs, pour it in, take the time, you get them there without realizing that it's about sustainability per se. And then
Right.
it kind of
It's
becomes,
that door into it.
Exactly. And then once you're in there, you could show them because you did it in this one area where you didn't even realize you were doing it, right? It made sense. Yes, the savings of time. Yes, the savings of effort, of workplace safety, things like that. Where else could we do that? It gets them more acclimated to thinking along those lines, to looking at it through that lens. And so then again, when you talk about their other suppliers, what can they offer? Maybe it's not more expensive. Maybe it's not. And there's different lines. They just haven't explored it.
That's right. And someone does have to start. I mean, you do have to see something that you think's important. And sometimes you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is too. And then when more people do that, then you do get some, better buying power. And someone has to start. But there's also been a lot of research, around Gen Z, and obviously a lot of survey results that are out there. They look for sustainability. So, are you seeing that also has kind of an impact on kind of where they want to go and shop and buy?
Oh, definitely. Yes. You see it on all different levels. You see it on just employees and who they want to work for. The fact that, people say specifically, I want to work for a mission-driven company. And I don't mean religious mission. I just mean a company with a purpose, a company that is doing more than just employing people. We see that all the time when we are interviewing candidates. And you're seeing that same demand from where they shop, where they eat. It is a very clear path towards sustainability, towards meeting those customers' demands.
I think the other challenge is that if they're not actively doing anything at all, then this might feel like a really big change, right? And I think you started to touch on this, but I'd like to really kind of drive that point home that there are some steps that they could take. So what would you say to that owner that says, this is pretty big change. You're asking me to do an awful lot. How would you kind of try to get them to think maybe a little differently?
Well, I would say, again, you start small. You start small and you look at, because oftentimes sustainability can be a byproduct, right? A sustainability benefit or a reduction of carbon emissions or anything like that. It can also be a byproduct. And like I was saying before, when we have our customers whose sustainability is not the number one, we focus on other things, right? Putting our systems in place can help reduce insurance premiums. That's dollars and cents to a customer. And again, then you get in that way by focusing on a different attribute or a different benefit. And so when it comes to our customers and, not just using our systems, which we want them all to do, but in using other suppliers and things like that, you have to kind of ask about what are those benefits. If there's cost savings here, by switching to, a biodegradable product for cutlery, right? If there's that there, sometimes there's different kinds of savings sharings or other avenues for them to explore with their suppliers. It's not necessarily the step of taking and making the switch, but it's just asking the question. And that doesn't require a ton of effort, and it's not nearly as scary.
You know what I would love to see, and I don't know if you've begun to see this yet. I think we're still a little ways off, but I'm really wanting to see the circular economy happen with whether not the silverware, but the takeout boxes.
Yep.
I think to me, that's the next big kind of advancement that we need to see, because we're all talking about it. We all know it needs to happen. And yet nothing has really developed. Have you seen or heard or from any of your councils that you're in and the other groups that you work with?
When it comes to that specifically, no. I know in my home, we also get them, right? Like, sometimes you'll have the white kind of cardboardy, waxy takeout container, or you'll have the straight plastic container, or then you'll have something that says this is completely biodegradable, but you don't really know what to do with it. And so it still just gets thrown away. Yes. And something where you could have all of that and figure out a way to say, this is what we do, take out food, and this is what we do, you take away. And we will actually do something with those boxes. Or maybe it's, you return it back to the restaurant and then somebody comes by and picks them up and takes them and does something with them. you could go down a rabbit hole.
You really can't. It kind of reminds me of the old milkman,
Yes.
showing up, dropping off the bottles. You put the old
Collecting
bottles
them
outside. They come back and they collect them. That everyone just put everything outside their home, and everything just went around, picked it up, brought it to the center, and then the center distributed back to the QSRs or the restaurants. I mean, someone's going to figure the economics out around this.
Yeah. I would think, you would definitely need investment, because you need investment for kind of that startup build, right? Because you would need trucks, you would need drivers, you would need there's a lot there.
There is a lot there. But what would be clever, though, is that if one of those companies were to partner with a large company that already has the trucks, that's already exactly. And that's why we talk about these things on air, because we hope that people hear it. And they're the one that says, we're going to step up and do it. Well, so Diana, when you're not busy, putting out fires and being thrown into podcasts, what other kinds of fun activities and initiatives do you get involved in down at RT?
Oh, at Restaurant Technology. So I'm also on the board of the Educational Foundation. And I don't know how much Jeff talked about that the last time. We give scholarships every year to kids of RT employees. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we've given out, tens of thousands every year for many years. And it is a really, really great opportunity because there's scholarships for kids to go on to secondary education. So college or.
What a wonderful benefit.
Yeah, 2 to 4 year college. And so it's a wonderful thing that we do. Also just partnership with the community. We always have been partnered with the Ronald McDonald Foundation and providing, Christmas presents, holiday things for kids. Last year, we partnered with, I think it's Feed My Starving Children, and I always butchered the name of it because it's either Feed Our Starving Children, Feed My Starving Children. You go and you make packages of food that is shipped over to countries that need it the most. And then we also just recently did Build a Bike. So at our leadership retreat, we did a Build a Bike session, and it was just really a fun way to give back to local communities.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. I mean,
so you learned how to build a bike?
Yes. You build it, and it's also team building and engaging too, because it's kind of a little bit of a competition, which is always fun. As a lawyer, I mean, you always want to win. So
of course. I just feel for those poor kids who, wheels weren't put on right because
every bike was checked. I can assure you that my regulatory and compliance team.
Don't forget to tighten those nuts up there. Those poor kids. Front wheel comes off.
Just rolling around the neighborhood. Well, that was a nice gift. Thanks for that.
Well, yeah, but they won their competition.
Exactly.
That does sound like some great causes that you guys are involved in. Well, Diana, you're welcome back anytime.
There's so much there, though. I said it earlier. ESG. A lot of people hear ESG and they just think sustainability. It's so much more than that, right? It's diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the things we're doing at our company internally about that. It's also safety. It's health. It's product innovation. It's it's the the nerdy lawyer stuff about governance and transparency and authenticity and things like that. So there's a lot there to unpack, and we have a great story to tell. So I really appreciate you taking the time and letting me try to dispel the boring, stuffy lawyer stereotype.
You did that in spades today, Diana.
I appreciate it.
Maybe we should have done a video podcast. You have this bright, shining smile today that you'll just have to look at the photograph to take my word on it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, you're very, very welcome. Well, thank you for coming down today and spending some time on Winning at Work today, Diana.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.